everybody, welcome to WildChick Soap Apothecary. I am Katie and I am the WildChick, and this is my first attempt at making a soap making video. So we will see how well this goes. I'm not normally the kind of person that can talk and chew gum and walk at the same time, so we'll see what happens here. It's either going to be really spectacular or really not. I've prepped my lye and my oils and my mixtures, and we're just about ready to go here. I like to soap at a really cool temperature so that I have plenty of time to work with my fragrances and my soap. And the first thing I'm going to do, as always, is get my gloves on so I don't burn myself, because raw lye and raw soap can be pretty dangerous and you need to take precautions. Normally you would wear goggles and all of that protective gear, but I've been doing this for a while and I'm pretty comfortable with not wearing goggles, at least not on camera anyway. So the first thing I'm going to mix up here is my frosting mixture. This is what I'll use to pipe on the top. And I'm going to mix that first because it needs to sit longer and get thicker, and if I mix it first, there's a pretty good chance that won't take all day and I can get my other soap done in the meantime. So these are my oils, and in here I've got my special blend. It's a little bit different than my regular mix, which you'll see in just a minute. But there's mango butter and shea butter and olive oil, palm oil, coconut oil, lots of goodies in there. This is my lye mixture that's got aloe vera juice and the lye. So first off, we're going to go ahead and mix that in. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I'm going to separate this batch into two colors. I'm going to do a little bit of white in there. So I'm going to go ahead and mix my titanium dioxide in there. And then in the larger portion of this batch, I am going to, if I can get the bag open here, might have to take off a glove for that. And my larger portion of my batch, I'm going to mix green mica. This is from Nurture Soap Supplies. It's a really pretty green. It should be nice and bright and pretty. We're going to use this for the tops of our soap. Okay, so we're going to start with my light color here, which is my white. Okay, so that's looking really good, and I'm going to go ahead and clean off my stick blender there. So there's my green, there's my white, and I'm going to go ahead and set those aside. And then over here I've got my large batch. This is going to make 5 pounds, just a little over 5 pounds of soap, which for me, I make really big bars. So most average soap bars are probably around 4 ounces or so, maybe 4.5. My bars tend to be around 7 ounces, so they are quite large. And 5 pounds of soap for me is going to give me about 17 bars of soap. That is a big batch for me. I prefer to work in small batches, so this is really a good size batch for me to work with. And I'm just going to mix those around and see what temperature they are at. Temperature is a big deal when you're making soap. Some people will soap over 100. I like to soap as close to room temperature as I can, but it's pretty cold in here today, so I'm going to keep it right around 90. Temperature can speed up or slow down your soap, how much time you have to work with it. And since I like to make pretty soaps, or I hope to make pretty soaps, I like to keep it cool, so I've got lots of time. I'm going to give my lye water here a stir. This lye water is a little different. This recipe is different. This is a triple butter recipe, so it's got cocoa butter, mango butter, and shea butter in it in good amounts, which is fabulous for your skin. And all my usuals, olive and coconut and palm. And I also prefer to add coconut milk. It makes a really silky lather, which I just love. It gives you bubbles. So in here I've got sodium lactate, coconut milk, organic coconut milk, and I've got my aloe vera. And again, I keep it cool because those things will heat up quite quickly. They have a lot of sugar in them. And I'm also going to add my sugar mixture, which helps to add a few bubbles in there. I reserve a little bit of my water, and I mix it with a little bit of sugar. And I'm going to go ahead and pump that into my lye. Okay, so let me grab a larger whisk here. See if we can bend that one back into submission there. Okay, so I've got a larger whisk. I'm going to go ahead and hand whisk in my lye mixture into my oils. We're going to hope this is going to be nice and slow. I'm sort of flying without a net here today. I didn't do a test batch. I rarely do a test batch anymore, but since I'm filming it, I probably should have, so I knew what I was getting into, but so we'll see what happens here. And that's already starting to come to trace a little bit, so I'm not going to need to mix it a whole lot. I like to just get it to a nice, gentle emulsification there, not even quite traced, because I am going to mix my colors, and I do want to make sure that I've got time for that. And I'm going to have to take this glove off again one more time just so I can open this little baggie here. This is another mica from Nurture Soaps. I like to work with micas because they incorporate so easily, and they're nice and sparkly, and you can get really beautiful colors. So let me go ahead and put that glove back on again. I've got a whole bunch of containers I'm going to grab over here. And the first thing I'm going to separate out here is going to be my white. So I'm going to have quite a bit of that. And then I'm just going to sort of somewhat evenly divide from my other colors. This batch is going to have 4 colors. It's going to be white and kind of a lightish brown, and a beautiful green, and a beautiful blue. You'll notice I haven't mixed in my fragrance oil yet, and that's because I don't really know how my fragrance oil is going to behave. I haven't used this one before, and if you add it right away and your soap misbehaves, you're sort of stuck with clumps, and that means you're going to push everything into your mold really quickly and be scrambling to get it in there. The fragrance oil is always sort of the X factor when you're making soap. It can really be wonderful to work with, and I've had some really great ones, or it can really be a pain to work with. And I'm not sure which one this one's going to be. So we're going to add it at the very end, after we've got all the colors mixed. That way, if it decides not to behave, I've got time to shove it in a mold before I've got problems. This is a cappuccino mica from Brambleberry, and it's really nice. It's a very light brown, but it does have some sparkle to it, which I like. I'm a sparkle girl. The more glitter, the more sparkle, the better. We've got blue in that one, and we've got a little bit of green in this one. I'm going to keep my colors handy because you never quite know exactly what you're going to get, and we'll see what happens here. So again, I'm going to start with my lightest color, which of course is my white. Okay, so the fragrance oil that I'm using today is called Sugared Spruce, and I have to admit I am really not a pine kind of person. I don't like it. I think it smells like floor cleaner to me, but this is anything but boring pine. This is just absolutely beautiful. It has fragrance notes in there of juniper and strawberry and orange. And it's really light, really bright. You've got that hit of spruce, which is really nice. It makes it smell holiday, but it's not too much. So I'm going to go ahead and hand mix in my fragrance. And I'm going to save a little bit there for my frosting. Okay, so I've got all my colors there. I'm going to put the rest of my fragrance up for later. I'm just going to grab a few paper towels here. I tend to make a mess while I'm working, and it's hard to work in a mess. So I'm going to clean up in here for a second. Throw that down. I'm also going to put a few more paper towels down on my surface while I grab my mold.